What is it that gives ASEAN its competitive edge? Is it skilled labor, strategic geography, or natural resources? Well, I spoke to 3 experts on this subject.
We have a competitive edge in that we have less debt than many, and that we have cheaper labor than many, and we have smarter people than many, and our savings. Many ASEAN countries have saved up a lot of money, Singapore, for instance. So we're, in that sense, we have a competitive advantage. And if we open up and have a free trade zone, that's going to be great. That's a market of 600 million people. Well, 600 million people is a good-sized market. So some companies can build, it can build capacity because they know they have a big market to sell into. If it's just Malaysia or just Singapore, I mean, these are small markets. But if you have a big market of 600 million people, that's not bad. And there is enough transportation. There is sea transportation and enough highways and even railroads that we have an advantage over Africa or South America or some other parts of the world. And we do have an advantage over Europe in that we don't have staggering debts that are, you know, if you look over your shoulder, there's a lot of debt back there. That's going to hurt Europe in the future. And that's an advantage we have in addition to educated and cheap labor.
Corporate debt in North Asia is very, very low. The second thing is that valuation in North Asia is relatively low. So the ASEAN markets over the last few years had been running quite well. So valuation got expensive. So fundamentals are pretty good in North Asia, and valuation is attractive. And momentum's not great right now, but it will come back. And then risk is relatively good, particularly because of low amounts of debt. We just lived through a 20-year period of development in Asia, let's say, and it's been an amazing development. And now I would say that, I mean, I go back to America and I get worse internet, I get worse service at the hotel than I get in Asia. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm doing phone calls back to the US by Skype or Google Hangouts, and you're finding that, you know, their side of the line is slower. When I go back to the US or to Europe, I say, the old world, meaning it's old infrastructure, it's old buildings. They went through their development phase a long time ago.
ASEAN goes from Brunei, Singapore, all the way to Laos and Cambodia. We have to look at it country by country. We're still not a united region. But if you look at ASEAN as a whole, it is 660 million people, I think 2.5 trillion GDP, US dollars of GDP. We are sizable. If you look at it from a collective perspective, we do offer, if we can get the ASEAN economic community real, we offer a large market. That is very interesting to global producers everywhere, right? Secondly, if we can address the concerns there are in some countries' business environments, like Indonesia's for instance, then I think there'll be a wave of foreign investment coming in because China is getting too expensive and China is moving up the value chain, which is good for China, but stuff is coming out of China and it's moving to Vietnam right now, it's moving to Cambodia. But I think if Indonesia had pursued reforms more aggressively, I think a lot of it would have gone to Indonesia. I think the challenge is really for our policymakers to address some of our deficiencies. And then if they do that, we can exploit our demographic advantage, which is huge. Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia have extremely good demographics. Our costs are still quite low. On average, human capital is pretty good in terms of primary education, in terms of attitudes and all that. We have extraordinary resources. Collectively as a region as a whole, we have one advantage which is going to be very important in the next 50 years, which is a very, very simple thing. We have water. There are water shortages that are going to be severe in countries like China and India. We have no issues there. We have enough water. So we have a lot going for us. But the impediment is really self-created. It's in the policy and business environments. And it requires hard-nosed, hard-headed deregulation.
ASEAN has to leverage on its competitive edge. How it does this, it's still left to be seen. But one thing is for sure, ASEAN has come a long way and it is a force to reckon with. I'm Zunara Said, reporting from Singapore.